first you gotta get people to vote. That's the toughest hurdle, because they're not expected to vote given that it's an off year. We tried to change it, worked throughout the plan to change it, so Phoenix and Tucson still vote in the odd years. We're still fighting that fight to try to get that changed. But it makes it harder to defeat issues of this kind. So a $31 billion project will be voted on by probably 15 to 20% max of the people. I find that objectionable. You know, it can really be a business ruiner if you're there while it's being built. If you're moving in after it's been built, and your business is on the light rail, and you live near a stop or something, then yeah, it's probably good for you. I can see why people in that circumstance would vote for it. That isn't most of us. There's about 1.6 million people in Phoenix. I'm gonna try to figure out how many live within a couple miles of any light rail. I would have a regular old commute just to get to light rail and be able to take it anywhere. That's most of the city. You subsidize light rail ridership. Our cost recovery is about 40 to 44%. So it's extremely expensive, it's extremely subsidized. Now, I don't want you to go out and say that people don't pay to ride it. They do. Okay, it's about $2 a ride if you're a senior, and I think $4 per day if you're not. If you're a senior or under a certain age, it's a little bit cheaper. But again, that only recoups about 40 to 44% of the cost. So to my mind, we should probably at the very least raise the cost so that people are footing more of their own bill. Most of you probably are not riding it at all. But remember, you're helping pay for more than half of it, effectively, just on the daily ridership. So those are some figures you probably want to keep in mind as you're talking to folks about why maybe this isn't the best plan that they could have come up with for $31 billion. Because you know what? You can buy a lot of stuff for $31 billion. So about 96% of the riders pay. That's a good thing, but they're paying such a low part of the cost that you're subsidizing an awful lot of it. So it moves, they think, of all trips taken, 1 to 2%. 1 to 2% of the trip. I mean, I think people, when they voted for it, and I believe it was 2004, I think people thought it was going to be a bullet train that was going to take some other people off the freeways, so you could drive in discomfort down empty freeways. That is not the case, as you've seen. They stop at the stoplights and everything. This is the technology that really we repudiated about 100 years ago, so I'm just curious that it's come back. But regardless, I guess it's here. I just think this expansion of it is a mistake. I think part of the reason we're doing this now, because the current transportation plan has 5 more years to run, so you'd be paying taxes but not new taxes. You could have done that for another 5 years. I think because the city's in such financial straits. But we are definitely facing serious budget issues, so I think they want to get ahead of that. Yes, you got to follow.
Why would you pick a light rail? Why don't you make the buses better or whatever, more efficient?
And I will say one thing about that. So you definitely should blame the politicians on the council. Hopefully not me, as someone who voted against it. Sorry, self-preservation and all. Or Sal and Bill, I should add. But politicians make the choices. Ultimately, 6 members of the council voted for it. I will say one thing, though, to your question, which I found fascinating in the presentation they gave us at the council. Really, when you looked at the statistics, they were talking about how light rail ridership has gone up. But I've got the chart in the back. Really what you've done is take people, to my mind, that used to ride buses, are now riding the light rail. We didn't really pick up new people. It's just we're shifting to a more expensive mode of transportation, and I guess theoretically more convenient for them. I assume the rational act making good choices for themselves. It didn't make the change I think you would expect for this kind of capital investment. About $6.8 billion of this $31 billion is new taxes. So your taxes overall over 35 years are going up about $6.8 billion. A lot of that's going to go for the light rail. I personally have voted against, I think every light rail project has been before since I've been on the council. Very expensive way to move people, to my mind. So someone's seen the statistic, about $160 million a mile to build the light rail. It takes 30 to 36 months, so about 3 years to build 1 mile of light rail. After this plan, you know how many miles of light rail we'll have? So in 35 years, in 2050, after spending $31 billion, not all on light rail, but the whole plan is $31 billion if this passes, we'll have 58.5 miles of light rail in the city of Phoenix. I might question, well, am I even going to live to see this? I'm 47 years old. I'm asking that question. Is this something I'm ever even going to have the opportunity to use much less want to use.